Okay, listen, money does feel like a game, but for most of your life, nobody gave you the rulebook. Nobody showed you the map. Nobody told you what actually wins and what quietly keeps you stuck. And if you're honest, you can feel that, right? You're out here working, grinding, doing the right things, and somehow it still feels like you're always one bad week away from everything falling apart. Let's talk about that. Part 1. You already know this feeling. Picture this. You're 29, no savings, a beat-up sedan with an AC that only works when the weather has mercy, a checking account that would roast you if it could talk. You log into your banking app and you don't even look at the number first. You look at the transactions. You try to guess which one finally killed you. You already know this feeling, don't you? That quiet dread standing in line at the grocery store, watching the total climb. You swipe your card, and the machine pauses for half a second too long. Your heart drops into your shoes. You do that mental calculation. Okay, if this declines, what do I say? Blame the bank? Say, that's weird. Pretend I grabbed the wrong card? That's not just stress. That's what it feels like to play a game where you don't know the rules. And the wild part? You weren't lazy. You weren't careless. You weren't sitting around doing nothing. You were working. Like multiple jobs, sleep deprived, ramen noodle hard. The kind of tired where you fall asleep in your clothes on the couch with your phone still in your hand. You do all that, and every month still feels like you're just trying to keep your head above water. You pay the bills, maybe. You catch up, kind of. You start the next month already behind, and you start telling yourself, I'm just bad with money. I guess this is just how it is for me. Hear this. That's not you being bad with money. That's you walking onto a field where a game is already in progress and nobody bothered to tell you what you're playing. Part 2. The moment you realize you're in a game. One day I joked to a friend, money's basically like a video game, except I never got the tutorial. I meant it as a throwaway line. He didn't laugh. He looked at me dead serious and said, yeah, but it's still your job to play. That hit me like a brick, because here's what you need to understand. Whether you like it or not, whether you feel ready or not, you are in this game. You're in it when you're overdrafting your account. You're in it when you dodge calls from unknown numbers because it might be collections. You're in it when you treat yourself because you're exhausted and then hate yourself the next day when you check your balance. Meanwhile, there are people out there playing on a completely different level. They're not just trading time for money. They're using things you were never even told about. Assets, passive income, tax advantages, compound interest. You know what happens? You talk to someone who casually says, oh yeah, my dividends covered my trip to Bali this month. And in that moment, you feel two things at once. 1, shock, because you didn't even know that was possible. 2, shame, because you start thinking, what's wrong with me? Why am I barely surviving while someone else's investments are taking vacations? Hear this clearly. It's not because you're stupid. It's not because you're lazy. It's because they got a tutorial. You didn't. The game is real. The game is active, and opt out is not an option. Part 3, the harsh truth. It's not about how much you make. Now look, your brain probably goes here next. Okay, I just need to make more money. That'll fix it. No, that's the trap. I've seen people making 6 figures who are still living paycheck to paycheck. Fancy car, nice apartment, zero control, constant panic. And I've seen people making 50K who quietly stack wealth, retire early, and never post about it on social media. So clearly, it's not just income. Here's the thing. Money is not just about how much you make. It's about control. Control over where it goes. Control over how hard it works. Control over whether it owns you or you own it. The real question is not, how do I make more money? The real question is, how do I make money stop controlling me? Once I flipped that question, everything shifted. Not overnight, not magically, but step by step. Part 4. Step 1. Look at the numbers you're afraid of. You can't change what you won't measure. You can't win a game if you refuse to look at the score. So I did something I had avoided for years. I tracked where every single dollar went for a month. Every swipe, it's just $5. Every late night delivery because I was too exhausted to cook. And what I saw was brutal. I was spending $157 a month on takeout coffee. $89 on random Etsy stuff I didn't even like 2 weeks later. It wasn't that I was bad, it's that I was blind. That number hurt. Seeing it in black and white felt like getting called out by my own bank statement. But here's the part people don't tell you. That pain is actually freedom. Because the second you see it, you can't lie to yourself anymore. You can't say, money just disappears, when you literally see where it walked off. And you don't need to become some spreadsheet robot. You just need to stop pretending not to know. For 1 month, track it. Every dollar. No judgment, just data. Because once you see the leak, you can patch it. Part 5, Step 2. You need tiny wins, not grand plans. You know what keeps people stuck? They try to fix 10 years of chaos in one weekend. They say, okay, I'm going to save half my income, pay off all my debt, start investing, cut all eating out, read 3 finance books, and completely transform my life starting Monday. You last 3 days, maybe. Then you crash, feel like a failure, and go right back to old pattern. That's not discipline failing, that's strategy failing. In any game, you need small, clear win conditions, things you can actually finish. So I set minimum wins. That's just $100 that month, just the joyed Hedgerian this week. Screen the way that would love to be jomded. If you're winning gets a grateful, sets remember, so previous company, so that you want to fill the country you spec to bay number sin. You just have to another ob, so you're better be marketed. Straighting the com for that you continue to. If you need that, let's go for this. We need 2 loftets apart, my remember. In any game that you filled that 1 point all, that you need to fix the material. So I shows up to deliver com for the south. So I set minimum wins. Do you need just fix to the next on the world, but feel that quickly significant more. Straight to retirement account. $1 a day out of my checking. $1. It felt stupidly small. Like, what is this even going to do? But 30 days later, there was a small pile of money sitting there, not enough to retire, but enough to prove something more important. I could actually stick to something. That $1 wasn't about the amount. It was about becoming the person who moves money on purpose instead of just reacting. That's how you start to flip from victim of the game to player. Part 6, Step 3, stop only playing defense. Most people think getting good with money means budgeting. Cut lattes, cut subscriptions, cut fun, just cut. That's defense. And yes, defense matters. If you're bleeding cash, you stop the bleeding. But listen, you do not win a game by only defending your goal. At some point, you have to run an offense. For money, offense means wealth building. It means investing. It means giving your dollars a job beyond this month's bills. I used to think investing was only for tech bros, finance bros, people in suits scrolling stock charts all day, so I avoided it. Then I started consuming content from people who spoke like humans, not like Wall Street robots. People breaking it down simply. Essing broad, diversified index funds. Think in decades, not days. Magical. They can outsmart the whole market. So I opened an account. I didn't dump in thousands. I put in $50 into an S&P 500 ETF. That's it. But something clicked. Because for the first time, I wasn't just surviving this month. I was owning a tiny slice of something bigger than me. I wasn't just playing defense against my bills. I was putting a piece on the board that could move without me. And here's what happens when you do that consistently, even in small amounts. The game stops being, how do I not drown this month? And starts becoming, how do I build something that takes care of future me? That mental shift is everything. Part 7, the emotional plot twist, calm. Nobody tells you this part. When you start actually tracking your money, setting tiny win conditions, and putting even small amounts into investments, something weird happens. You get calmer. That panic at the checkout line, it doesn't own you like it used to. The unknown number calling your phone feels less like a threat and more like, I'll handle it if it's something real. The car repair that used to send you into a spiral, still annoying, still inconvenient, but not catastrophic. You walk through life with this low, steady background confidence. If something hits me, I have options. I'm not completely helpless. Not because you're rich, but because you understand the game now and you're actually playing it on purpose. Part 8, what you can actually do today. Now, before your brain goes, this is too much, I'll fix it later. Let me be clear, you don't fix it later. Later is how you got here. So here's what I want you to do. And you pick one of these, not all. 1, a simple budget. Not a perfect one, just a visible one. One place where you can see what comes in and what goes out. OT don't have one, even if you only put in the minimum to open it. Trees 1, no BS money book, not 10. Something would you go, oh? Something, but 4. 1. Around sure that's accessible. And finally, you know at least just a plus it 1. Mom and helps you once money book is not any comes in. One place is 1 a minimum to open it. One place where you can only put in the minimum. No begin. So here, completely want to do is that what's forget the budget on December. Preferably, open a retirement or investment account. Not 10, 1. Something digestible, not shamey, that talks to you like a human. Truck a recurring transfer on your phone for a small amount. $1 a day, $5 a week, whatever doesn't make you flinch. You don't need to become a finance nerd. You just need to make one move that proves to yourself, I'm not sitting out anymore. I'm in the game. And this is critical. Forgive yourself if nobody taught you this. You weren't supposed to magically know how to manage money. You're not broken because you didn't, but now you know better. And once you know better, it becomes your job to do better. Part 9. The game is not fair, but it is winnable. Let's be brutally honest. Some people are born into better cards, family money, no debt, safety nets, tutors for the game from day one. Some of us start at level 0 with nothing but mistakes, overdue notices, and Google. The game is not fair. Always has been, always will be. But unfair doesn't mean unwinnable. Your starting point is not your ceiling. The question is not, is the game fair? The question is, knowing the game is rigged, what am I going to do anyway? Are you going to keep pretending you're not playing? Or are you going to start making moves, even small ones, that actually put you on the board? Part 10. The choice you don't realize you're making. Most people will hear something like this, nod along, feel a little inspired, and then do absolutely nothing different. They'll go back to, I'll start next month. They'll go back to hoping a raise, a new job, or some miracle will fix a system they never took control of. And 5 years from now, they'll still be stuck in that same anxiety loop at the grocery store, praying the card goes through. That's one path. The other path? You pick one move. You track your money for 30 days. You set that tiny auto transfer. You open that account. You read that one book. You start playing offense. Not perfectly, not effortlessly, but intentionally. And one day, you'll look back at this version of you, the one who was scared to even open the banking app, and you'll barely recognize them. Not because you stumbled into some TikTok version of rich, but because you quietly, consistently decided to stay in the game. Here's the truth most people never want to admit. The choice has always been yours. Most people just never realize they're choosing. So I'll end with this. What's your next move?